So I'm back where I started with you and where this movement is headed. The greatest challenge to the plantation mentality of the media giants is the innovation and expression made possible by the digital revolution. I may still prefer the newspaper for its investigative journalism and in-depth analysis, but we now have it in our means to tell a different story from big media, our story. The other story of America that says free speech is not just corporate speech, that news is not just what officials tell us. We're not just chattel in the fields living the boss man's story. This is the great gift of the digital revolution, and you must never let them take it away from you. The Internet, cell phones, and digital cameras that can transmit images over the Internet makes possible a nation of storytellers, every citizen a Tom Paine. Let the man in the big house on Pennsylvania Avenue think that over, and the woman of the house on Capitol Hill. And the media moguls in their chalets at Sun Valley gathered to review the plantation's assets and multiply them, nail it to their door. They no longer own the copyright to America's story. It's not a top-down story anymore. Other folks are going to write this story from the ground up, and the truth will be out that the media plantation, like the cotton plantation of old, is not divinely sanctioned. It's not the product of natural forces. The media system we've been living under for a long time now was created behind closed doors where the power brokers met to divvy up the spoils. Bob McChesney has eloquently reminded us through the years how each medium, radio, television, and cable, was hailed as a technology that would give us greater diversity of voices, serious news, local programs, and lots of public service for the community. In each case, the advertisers took over. Despite what I teasingly told you the last time we were together in St. Louis, the star that shines so brightly in the firmament the year I was born, 1934, did not, I regret to say, appear over that little house in Hugo, Oklahoma. It appeared over Washington when Congress enacted the 1934 Communications Act. 100 times in that cornerstone of our communications policy, you will read the phrase, public, obligate, interest, convenience, and necessity. I can't tell you, reading about those days, educators, union officials, religious leaders, parents were galvanized by the promise of radio as a classroom for the air, serving the life of the country and the life of the mind, until the government cut a deal with the industry to make sure nothing would threaten the already vested interest of powerful radio networks and the advertising industry. And soon, the public largely forgot about radio's promise as we accepted the entertainment produced and controlled by Jell-O, Maxwell House, and Camel cigarettes. What happened to radio happened to television, and then it happened to cable. And if we are not diligent, it will happen to the Internet. Powerful forces are at work now, determined to create our media future for the benefit of the plantation. Investors, advertisers, owners, and the parasites who depend on their indulgence, including many in the governing class. Old media acquire new media and vice versa. Rupert Murdoch, forever savvy about the next key outlet that will attract eyeballs, purchased MySpace, spending nearly $600 million so he could, in the language of Wall Street, monetize those eyeballs. Google became a partner in Time Warner, investing $1 billion in its AOL online service. And now Google has bought YouTube, so it would have a better vehicle for delivering interactive ads for Madison Avenue. Viacom, Microsoft, large ad agencies, and others have been buying up key media properties, many of them the leading online sites, with the result that will be a thoroughly commercialized environment, a media plantation for the 21st century dominated by the same corporate and ideological forces that have produced the system we have lived under the last 50 years. So, what do? Well, you've shown us what we have to do, and twice now you have shown us what we can do. 4 years ago, when FCC Commissioner Michael Powell and his ideological sidekicks decided it was okay for a single corporation to own a community's major newspaper, 3 of its TV stations, 8 radio stations, its cable TV system, and its major broadband internet provider, you said enough's enough. Free press, Common Cause, Consumers Union, Media Access Project, the National Association of Hispanic Journalists, and others working closely with Commissioners Edelstein and Copps, two of the most public-spirited members of that commission ever to sit there. You organized public hearings across the country where people spoke up deeply felt opinions about how poorly the media was serving their towns. You flooded Congress with petitions, and you never let up. And when the court said Powell had to back off for then, the decision cited the importance of involving the public in these media decisions. Incidentally, Powell not only backed off, he backed out. He left the commission to become senior advisor at a private investment firm specializing in equity investments in media companies around the world. And that firm, by the way, made a bid to take over both Tribune and Clear Channel, two media companies that just a short time ago were under the corporate-friendly purview of, you guessed it, Michael Powell. That whooshing sound you hear is Washington's perpetually revolving door through which they come to serve the public and through which they leave to join the plantation. You made a difference. You showed the public cares about media and democracy. You turned a little publicized vote, little publicized because big media didn't want the people to know, a little publicized and seemingly arcane regulation into a big political fight and a public debate. Now, it's true, as Commissioner Copps has reminded us, that since that battle 3 years ago, there have been more than 3,300 TV and radio stations that have had their assignment and transfer grants approved. So that even under the old rules, consolidation grows, localism suffers, and diversity dwindles. It's also true that even as we speak, Michael Powell's successor, Kevin Martin, put there by George W. Bush, is ready to take up where Powell left off and give the green light to more conglomeration. Get ready to fight. But then you did it again more recently. You lit a fire under people to put Washington on notice that it had to guarantee the Internet's First Amendment protection in the $85 billion merger of AT&T and Bell South. Because of you, the so-called Internet neutrality, I much prefer to call it the equal access provision of the Internet. Neutrality makes me think of Switzerland. The equal access provision became a public issue that once again reminded the powers that be that people want the media to foster democracy, not to quench it. This is crucial. This is crucial because in a few years, virtually all media will be delivered by high-speed broadband. And without equality of access, the net could become just like cable television, where the provider decides what you see and what you pay. After all, the Bush Department of Justice had blessed the deal last October without a single condition or statement of concern. But they hadn't reckoned with Michael Copps and Jonathan Edelstein, and they hadn't reckoned with this movement. Free Press and SaveTheInternet.com orchestrated 800 organizations, 1.5 million petitions, countless local events, legions of homemade videos, smart collaboration with allies in industry, and a top-shelf communications campaign. Who would have imagined that sitting together in the same Democratic broadband pew would be the Christian Coalition, Gun Owners of America, Common Cause, and MoveOn.org? Who would have imagined that these would link arms with some of the powerful new media companies to fight for the Internet's First Amendment? We owe a tip of the hat, of course, to Republican Commissioner Robert McDowell. Despite what must have been a great deal of pressure from his side, he did the honorable thing and recused himself from the proceedings because of a conflict of interest. He might well have heard the roar of the public that you helped to create. So AT&T had to cry uncle to Copps and Edelstein with a, quote, voluntary commitment to honor equal access for at least 2 years. The agreement marks the first time that the federal government has imposed true neutrality, equality, on an Internet access provider since the debate erupted almost 2 years ago. I believe you changed the terms of the debate. It is no longer about whether equality of access will